I'm a Christian first before anything. So my opening statement is really the Red Pill podcasts, such as the Whatever podcast, which is the one in question today, are exploitative and destructive in nature. They advertise porn stars and promiscuous women as the thumbnails to every upload and plug their social media accounts in the bio of every video. The women don't go on the show to debate. They go on there for attention and clout. The show is masqueraded as a debate, but in reality, it's an OnlyFans ad agency. I'll concede that, yeah, there's some utility in going on these shows to combat these feminist ideologies. However, that utility is immediately lost when you advertise the very thing that you claim to be against. The equivalent would be as though a podcast that claimed to be anti-drugs brought drug dealers onto the show, put the picture of the product, the drug, as the thumbnail to every episode, and plug the drug dealer's address in the bio of every video so all the people watching know where to go and buy the product. My argument is we should combat the modernity of feminist ideologies without advertising their product, which in this case is their body. Young men should instead turn to Christ and stay away from engaging with red pill podcasts and red pill ideologies. The real solution and simple call to action is for men as a collective to turn away from porn, cease engaging with thirst trap content online, cease engaging in hookup culture, turn to God, and date with the intention of marriage. And this is not a surprise from the Christian worldview, which I believe that we share. The red pill podcasts in this business are in this business for the same reason for the women that they bring on: attention and money. As a Christian, the only reason we should go on the show is to hold the red pill hosts accountable for the degeneracy that they are engaging in by profiting off of being an OF ad agency by exploiting the pain of their male audience. Red pill podcasts have taken a number of traditional biblical principles and twisted them for their selfish desire to guide men into a life of worshiping money and sex.
All right, Andrew, do you want to go ahead and use your opener?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for the opening statement. Glad I got your kind of positions down here. So let me respond. I didn't know for sure what my opponent's criticisms were going to be just yet. I have ascertained a bit of information via DMs, so let me go over his arguments as I understand them. One, his first argument seemed to be to point to the fact that going on whatever was problematic, as everything that has needed to be said has been said. Whatever the fuck that means, I don't know what that means. I find this argument amusing, though, as if you can't go to this guy's Instagram like he's saying something that's super new that other larger content creators than himself have already said they have. So I'll assume he's just confused about that argument too. His second argument points out that girls engaged in sex work can and do gain some of the whatever audience to then subscribe to their sex channels. I don't dispute that this is true. I just don't particularly care. The types of men who are watching whatever and would subscribe to OnlyFans prostitution were likely already subscribed to OnlyFans prostitution. It seems reasonable to me that if invited on to provide pushback to their various claims, that is more effective than pretending that whatever is cranking out simps. Brian seems to mostly be against the modernity of dating and prostitution, though he doesn't have as hard a line of a stance as I do, but he allows pushback for everybody, including the guests which are on his show. His third argument makes no sense to me at all. My opponent seems to think that ignoring this problem makes it go away, but it doesn't make it go away. Pushback and resistance make it go away. I think it's important we be present in all places the degens are to take on their worldviews. His final argument is that I need to attack or go after Brian, though that doesn't make any sense either. Why would I destroy my opportunity to engage on the platform where I can reach hundreds of thousands of people with a better message? Not to mention, Brian brings up valid and interesting arguments, which I often agree with. We may not align 100%, but we don't need to, as reaching the audience is my objective, not reaching fucking Brian. He starts his claims as well by saying he's against feminist ideology, but I did go and review a debate that he had with Destiny where he claimed that feminism is an antidote to what he considers toxic patriarchy. I'm not sure that that's in line with any Christian worldview that I'm aware of, but I'm happy to take that topic on as well. Lastly, the only reason to go on the show is to go after the hosts he claims. That seems stupid to me. I think it would be far better to utilize the platform of the host in order to move a message to hundreds of thousands of people who you would not normally have access to. That's a far wiser strategy for spreading the message. And I'm assuming that we agree on a lot of this message, and so what we have is a differing of tactics. However, it's insane to me that he also wanted to go on the Whatever podcast himself, which is odd, I would assume, because he wants hundreds of thousands of people to hear his message as well. So with that, I'll yield the rest of my time, and I'm happy to get into this.
All right, RC, would you like to respond?
Well, we're just gonna go open from here. Yep, open dialogue from here. Go ahead, RC.
So to address, you brought up a number of points. To address your last point, I didn't shy away from the fact that I said, as a Christian, you can go on the podcast to call out what Red Pill is doing wrong. Yes, I did ask to go onto the Whatever podcast.
Yeah, what about the things that they're doing right? Can you agree with the things that they're doing right while simultaneously calling out the things that are wrong?
So, well, I'm addressing what you'd said, right? So in May of 2023, I did ask the Whatever podcast, and I DM'd Brian privately asking if I can go on the show so I can call out Red Pill. I was very clear with why my intention is to go onto the show. Mm-hmm. And Brian went on to block me because he said, I'm afraid to bring you on because you're going to speak disparagingly to the women, as though he doesn't do that with every episode, and every male guest he has on does the same thing. And he blocked me, which is very telling, because what are you afraid of?
Well, now hang on. Let's get into this first. So that's a Reader's Digest version, but my understanding from having read the DMs that you posted in the Discord was that you were being very agitating towards Brian. And if I was running a show and you were being agitating towards me while you were trying to come on my show, what do you think my reaction would be?
How am I agitating towards Brian when I said, I want to go on your show to call out Red Pill? If that's agitating to him, then what's very telling what his position is.
But what he said is that he wanted to have a more calm, collected conversation, and he was worried that your over-the-top approach would not be good for his platform. Now, it is his platform. We can agree that it's his platform, whether you like how it's run or not. It seems silly to me that you would be agitating towards this guy and then expect that he would have you on.
Right. So would you agree that this Red Pill podcast is advertising these OnlyFans women?
I don't think that they're specifically advertising them, but I think that they allow the OnlyFans women to advertise themselves, yes.
They're putting them they're using their sexually suggestive photos as the thumbnail to every video they put up. How is that not direct advertising?
Yeah, so that's how the women show up.
They ask and they use provocative images of those women. They don't have to use those images as the thumbnail to their video.
So what? That's what these women themselves, what they're showing. The best disinfectant is sunlight. So adding sunlight to what these women are, I think, is the best things you can possibly do, which would include these disgusting poses. Well, here's the thing. They go on the show looking like this. Why would the thumbnail somehow be worse than how they show up to the show?
Because you don't have to put that as a thumbnail. It's an intentional clickbait.
Yeah, you don't have to let them show up like that to the show, but they want to show up like that to the show. And the reason that they do is because they want to be as provocative as possible for attention. But I think that that's in many ways good for our side, because it shows a ray of sunlight on what's going on here, that women will dress this way in order to go into a live studio in order to promote this type of degeneracy. Again, I think the best disinfectant is sunlight.
But you don't promote them by advertising the picture as the thumbnail. You don't have to do that, and they intentionally do it to clickbait.
Well, let us assume for a moment that I just concede the point, and I say, you're right. They really shouldn't use the sexually provocative thumbnail. So what? It's not our platform. It's not your platform. It's not my platform. Our job is to provide necessary pushback to ideological worldviews that we disagree with. You would agree that that's true. If you're saying that this guy is running this as a business and making money, I don't disagree that he is doing so. And I don't disagree that people love controversy, and I don't disagree that part of that controversy can make people money. What I do disagree with is that whether or not this guy is advertising this from a thumbnail perspective. okay, in order to be as provocative as possible to get the most amount of views as possible. That also puts the most amount of views on my message.
So you also in the DMs mentioned that, sure, it's okay that he plugs their social media accounts in the bio of the video because that's the price to admission.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. This is what they're asking him to do. If he's willing to link a Christian nationalist bio down there, right, which is just as polarizing as an OnlyFans girl, why should he then not link hers as well? Just because you fucking disagree, right? Because you just disagree with that side of it. But that side of it hates our asses. They fucking hate us. So he's willing to put our bios in there too.
So he's against Christian nationalism? Or is he against the OnlyFans degenerate feminist ideologies?
Well, I'm not sure what his exact ideology is on this. It seems to be that there's a mixture.
He claims to be Christian.
Well, he doesn't really. He claims that he's not a practicing Christian.
Well, he's claimed to, well, then he does flip-flop a lot, but he has openly admitted that he said that he's Christian. But regardless, he's very clearly advertising them. They come on to be advertised. They wouldn't go on if
I go on to be advertised. What's your point?
Yeah, we all do things for attention. What type of attention are you looking for?
Yeah, I'm looking for the. I understand that they're looking for the same kind of counter attention to what I'm looking for. I want to draw attention to my message, and they're trying to draw attention to their OnlyFans. It would actually be a far harder pitch for him to sell that he's only going to link the people in the bio who he agrees with. I don't agree with you, and I'm still going to link you in the bio. Is that okay?
But the problem is his whole show is against their promiscuous ideology, and he's advertising it. Figuratively speaking,
he's also advertising my ideology.
But you're not porn starring yourself.
Yeah. So what you're really saying is that it's okay for him to do the thing that you agree with ideologically, not okay for him to do the thing that you don't agree with ideologically. Ideologically, it's okay for him to promote me. It's just not okay for him to promote the other side. In the spirit of fairness, you would, if you have a contentious channel like this where people are in consistent arguments and you have polarizing personalities, it seems completely reasonable to me that the people who go on in order to do that show would want whatever it is that they want advertised. While I agree it's disgusting, right, I think that engaging with their ideology is still extremely important.
What I'm against is them promoting their social media accounts filled with their promiscuity and their sexual links. I'm not going to bring my audience of followers to be engaged with
but this is an arbitrary standard which you have made up as headcanon in your own brain. They're all promoting degeneracy across the board. Whether they're promoting their OnlyFans or they're promoting the destructive ideology of progressivism, which embraces the exact policies which lead to these OnlyFans girls being able to exist at all. This is the problem. Why do you draw the line in an arbitrary fashion?
I don't think drawing the line of saying, hey, I don't want to advertise their sexual content is a bad line to draw as a Christian. I'm willing to engage in a debate with them. And you don't have, if you want to take my social media link out of the bio too, I don't care.
Okay.
I'm here to stand against their ideology.
Well, let me help you out with one last thing, which I've been saving for you, right? Kind of the coup de grace. Brian does not add any of their OnlyFans in their bios, only their Instagrams. This entire time, you've been fucking arguing about something with 5 minutes of research. You could have learned that he does not link to any of the pornography sites at all, you fucking idiot.
Why are you insulting me?
Because, well, no. That's not a personal insult.
You called me an idiot.
No, an idiot is not a personal insult if the person is being a fucking idiot. In this case, that was really stupid, man. In 5 minutes, hang on, in 5 minutes, you could have made this determination. He never links to any of their OnlyFans, and he never links to any of this stuff, and yet you've made a fool out of yourself for the last 45 minutes, making these bold claims. I was able to debunk them even if it were true, and then, okay, then prove it.
By plugging their Instagram accounts, where's their link? Where do you find Where do you find OnlyFans?
So let me get this right.
In the bio of Instagram.
So let me get this right. Now we're going to change the goalposts, And
That's been my
if you
goalpost from
move
the
towards
beginning.
Instagram, where there could be some links in the Instagram, then this would include all leftists who give any links at all whatsoever to any women's Instagrams whatsoever, which lead back to OnlyFans whatsoever, and you
That's
are
a
willing to
stretch.
debate. Nope, it's the same process.
No, it's not.
How is it not?
Because if the woman goes on there and you click on her Instagram link and the first thing you see are a bunch of sexually suggestive photos, and then boom, you have an OnlyFans link, you're promoting that.
And
Just
how
don't
and
promote
how
it.
would this be different than you going on Destiny's program where he puts the Instagram link down below, which then would lead to a woman's page, Instagram page, which then would link to her OnlyFans? How is there any distinction at all?
What woman's page is linked in his bio?
Oh, there's tons. He has tons of female guests on all the time. So does Vosh, and they will put the links
In
down.
the episode with me, he's linking other females' accounts.
Let's assume for a second.
The episode with me, you asked
even
if I went on to visit him.
even if in the episode with you he did not, let's assume in the episode with Brian
Right.
does not, but he will
Right.
continue to do so after this episode with you. Your position was you still would not go on. So therefore, if we follow the same logic with Destiny or these leftists, you should not go on their platform if they ever do it.
All right. Well, then I'll say this. I'll concede a bit. I would go on for one episode to the whatever. Like I've already openly admitted that I messaged the whatever. I'll go on for one episode, swivel my chair like no man is willing to do, and call out Brian for being an OnlyFans ad agent, figurative porn star by bringing them on. I'll call him out, and he's going to kick me off the show because he's a coward. And he will not debate that.
No,
And
you
you're
could go.
unwilling to-
He doesn't need to. You go on the show and I'll debate it with you like I am right now. Your facts are screwed up. You didn't do even the basic amount of research which was required for you to even make these kinds of insane claims that they're linking to OnlyFans girls and pornography accounts. They most certainly are not. They link to their Instagram accounts. Somehow you still consider him to be liable for what the girls link in their own social media accounts to their other proxies. But that would be true of any show you went on ever. Any type of degeneracy ever where they put any link in the account to a degenerate, which led to another link, right? You would have to bite the bullet on all of that. Like, is there a problem with Christians? Is there a problem with Christians making money?
No.
Okay, well then I don't understand what the criticism is.
Because I've already prayed about this and it's very clear to me. I don't want to make money off of doing this. And if I do, I'm going to donate it to the church, because you know what? I prayed to God. And
Then why don't you monetize your accounts and give it all to the church?
I can't even I'm demonetized. I was banned off of TikTok and Instagram doesn't let me monetize.
Yeah, but when you
when
weren't banned, why didn't you monetize and give it all to the church?
I had the opportunity and I didn't monetize my account.
Well, that's weird. That
did
seems
mon-
like a contradiction. I thought you just said you were going to monetize and then give all your money to the church.
You presented a hypothetical. If I were to be paid X amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, I would give it to the church. But I wasn't presented with the opportunity, so I'm not.
You
gonna
just
go
said
look-
you were. You just said you were presented with an opportunity from a big company where you could have given all the money to the church. So why didn't you do it?
Oh, I did get presented with that opportunity. I thought you meant if I got presented of it from TikTok.
Yeah, that was for me to test your logic. But now we can move back to why I was testing your logic. Why didn't you just take the money and give it all to the church?
So they were going to pay me a few $100s per video, and I'm not going to sell myself out to make a few $100s per video.
How are you selling yourself out? You're taking money away from them and giving it to the church.
Because they want me to make certain content that they want me to. I don't care to make the content they want me to make, even if it was in alignment.
Well,
with
I
it.
don't know. That sounds pretty self-serving.
How?
Because what if you make the content which you believe in and also get paid for it and give it to the church?
The payment that I like, what gives me satisfaction, is turning anyone, man or woman, towards Christ. That's all the payment that I care for. Is people?
Yeah, but
pushing-
I mean, money's going to be a big part of being able to do media outreach to people. I mean, there's
Okay.
no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
I've gained over 500,000 followers and being suppressed, highly suppressed on just my phone alone. Clearly, I don't need a lot of money to get the message out there.
Yeah, but
I
what
don't
if you had a
really
lot of money, you could really get it out there? Wouldn't that be better?
What would I be doing differently?
Well, I mean, I think that some of the things you can do differently is engage with people who are degenerate scumbags on their ginormous platforms so that you can build an audience, monetize it, and then go give all your money to the church like you said you wanted to do.
And I was willing to go on the whatever podcast and call Brian out, but he blocked me because he was being
Because
cowardly.
you were being aggressive in the DMs.
How was
Because
I- what did he say in the
because
DMs that
he
were
told
so
you
aggressive?
he had a format that he wanted followed for his show because it's his show, not your show, and he wanted you to follow it, and you didn't want to follow it. It's that simple.
How do you know this? Did you read these messages?
The ones that you posted in Discord, yes.
What did I say that was aggressive to Brian?
You said You said to Brian, when I come on, I want to do A, B, and C. He did
I want to call out the red pill.
He did not want you to do that. He thought that was going to break the flow of the show.
No,
now, why can't you go on and deliver your message in a way that doesn't break the flow of this guy's show? I think you can do that.
My message is anti-red pill because red pill is exploiting their.
You can be anti-red pill and you can be smart about it when you're on their platforms. Why can't you? Are you stupid? I mean, you're not stupid. Why can't you do that? Why can't you use the gifts God gave you and the skills God gave you to be a great subverter?
I'm just going to call out red pill. I don't understand how that's aggressive. You're going out there to call out those OnlyFans girls and feminists. I'm going on there to call out red pill. What's wrong with that? Are you aggressive?
Well, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. That's not my point. Okay. My point is to tell you something very simple, which is that if you can follow the flow of whatever it is, okay, that they demand on their platform, okay, but you can still get your message across, then you should do that.
I'm getting my message across on my Instagram and before when I was on TikTok.
Yeah, but why? So yeah, but you can also get your message across on bigger platforms than your own.
But I'm not going to, if I went on here, let me present you with this. If I were invited on the Whatever podcast or the Fresh and Fit podcast and say, hey, we're going to give you this platform. And I went on there and I didn't call them out. I'm selling myself out for clout. I'm selling my own.
You can just be smart about how it is that you deliver the message.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I really don't think that you're a stupid man. I don't understand why you can't be smart about the way in which you, you're on these other platforms, right? To some degree, you have to follow the TOS, even though these are degenerate platforms, and you know that that's true. They push degeneracy all over the place. You follow the TOS, so you have to be smart about the way in which you phrase things, don't you? But somehow, that goes away instantly the second it's on a private platform, like Whatever. That's crazy to me. How are you able to subvert on the large degenerate platforms, but somehow you can't manage to get your message across utilizing somebody else's rules of engagement? I think you could do that.
You know who I think the bigger problem is not the OnlyFans women. I think it's Brian and the Whatever podcast. They're a bigger problem than the women going on.
How?
Because they're promoting them on a stage they've never been at before.
No, that's not true. In fact, most of these women who go on there, who already are in the top 1% of OnlyFans, are going to remain there whether they go on there or not. The smaller ones who go on there don't really gain much in the way of traction, just like they had no traction before they went on there. So that's not even accurate to say.
Well, they're only going on there to be platformed, so they must be gaining enough traction to think that it's a net positive to go on.
Yeah, the same reason that I want to get platformed there, because I think it's a net positive to get a message.
Yeah, you're right. You're going on there for the same reason they are, a self-serving agenda.
No, you just keep saying that because the only thing you can bank back to. Yeah, but you're taking the context away from how it was meant.
So let me help you out, because I've oddly watched a lot of them. I know it's shocking, but Brian's not red pill to start off with. I think that's like your first mistake is to consider him red pill. He actually tends to condemn those guys quite a bit and pokes fun at them. If you'd watched the show, you'd probably know that, but you haven't. So you're just speaking kind of out of your ass. That's okay. It's just like Andrew caught. You didn't do your research on the Instagram thing. You didn't do your research on the show. I kind of have to say that from my point of view, you're really just clout chasing and bringing an argument that doesn't need to be made.
I'm clout chasing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who am I clout chasing from?
Well, you're on Andrew's channel right now.
I have 4 times the amount of followers.
You went out of your way. I'm sorry.
Right.
I wasn't.
That's just
done.
an interesting view.
Can we let the caller finish his statement?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to not cut you off there. You went on the Andrew's Discord demanding that he condemn Brian, which is weird because that would be the opposite of what I would do if I were trying to get Andrew to do anything. First of all, he's somewhat stubborn, and second, I think just an open hand works better than a fist. You seem to not have learned that in life. I'm old, so I have, and and this is really the last thing. I'm just kind of, and I don't know that there's a true question in here other than that, I don't think that you've prepared and that you understand anything about the show. Brian actually hates having OF girls on, and we give him a lot of crap about it all the time because it ruins the show. It actually ruins the show, and we don't like it. You can go back and watch where we say Brian, no more OF fans, the people who are watching it. And he'll actually point out when he does not have them. We would prefer that they not come on because they are. It becomes like a degenerate cesspool, and nobody wants to watch it. It ruins the content, in my opinion. Although I do get to make fun of them, and I do like that. So I just think that you're coming at this in absolutely the completely wrong angle. You're welcome to give me your angle, but since you haven't actually watched the show, I'm not sure how valid your opinion is.
Yeah,
and I really think that you should do that. And as a Christian, I would especially think that before you went and condemned somebody, you would know a little bit more about them. And I will mute myself.
I mean, where's the question in that? I'll respond to that monologue. I guess I'll try. I've outlined my position. I've researched deeply into you're saying like, oh, this was a surprise that I didn't know it was just the Instagram accounts that were linked. I've made multiple videos about this, and I openly wanted to discuss this with Brian or with Myron and the other guy on the Fresh and Fit. I have no problem with discussing what do you think you're doing to benefit these young men by advertising these OnlyFans women? Do you think it's a good thing that he advertises their boobs and their ass and their sexually provocative pictures as the thumbnails to their videos? You think that's a good thing? You think that helps men to not give into the temptation?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a question.
Just kind of briefly respond, Grid One, and we got to move to the next caller.
Briefly. Look, I think you're completely off base. Those girls actually have complained. You know, Brian's been sued because an OF girl lost subscriptions from being on the show. You don't know that because you don't watch the show. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're simply virtually
one woman is your argument of the hundreds that have been one.
Well, I only need one example to refute your argument.
So the hundreds that go on there and continue to go on there to gain clout. Well, how many women have been on this show?
Well, do you have proof that more of them have gained than lost subscribers? Or is that just something that you believe for no particularly good reason?
I think people vote with their feet, to speak in a figurative sense. And the fact that they keep going on the show, even though their ideologies get destroyed from guys like you, because it's an easy destroy, and I commend you for destroying the ideology. I think there's some utility in it. They don't go on there to win or lose a debate. They go on there to gain followers to their OnlyFans and Instagram accounts. It's for clout.
Yeah, So while I agree that there could be some substance there, do you actually have evidence and proof that that's true, or is it just an assumption?
Unless I had some kind of Instagram follower tracker, I'm being speculative to why else would they go on the show? Why else, with millions of followers and hundreds of thousands of men watching? Why do you think it doesn't take a few brain cells to connect the dots? Why do you think they're going?
Well, I don't know. I thought you just got done saying that they're some of the stupidest people around, and yet now you seem to be giving them all kinds of credit towards it.
You understand some of these OnlyFans girls have agents, right? As I've heard. Yeah. And don't you think the agents think that it's a good thing to have their girls advertised on these shows with hundreds of thousands of guys watching?
I think sometimes, but I think that they would have a much easier time if there was no ideological pushback. Don't you agree?
I mean, sure, but they don't care about the ideological pushback.
Well, prove it.
Do guys watch porn to see if the girl's
prove
smarter?
That they would rather go on and have no resistance than have some.
How do you prove something like that?
Well, I mean, don't make the claim if you can't provide the proof.
How can you prove something like that?
It would be simple.
Well,
you could maybe go talk to them. You can pull them. You could watch the show. You could do all these different things. You don't actually know for sure that what you're saying is true. It does make sense. But I was even willing to just grant that it was true. And I still think you're wrong, even if I grant that it's true.
If I was wrong, and my only criticism to Brian is, hey, I want to go on your show so I can debate you on if what you're doing by promoting these women
is beneficial. He's not there to be debated by someone like you.
He blocked me. That's evidence, and that's evidential enough that he's doing this for profit.
Well, yeah, most people want to live. That's how he makes his living.
Yeah.
So wanted to go on to debate a host on his own show. Brian doesn't debate anyone.
He debates all the girls that go on the show.
Andrew,
he doesn't. Not really. He doesn't really debate with them.
He simply tells them that they're doing something wrong.
He really doesn't. I'm going to be totally honest with you. He really doesn't do much in the way of debating. He does give a bit of ideological pushback, but it seems like that's mostly to stir the conversation, not to actually give ideological pushback. He seems to always defer that to guests that he has on, who are in the opposite position, be they male or female. He himself, I have not seen actually do much in the way of debating, or he just makes like a fucking World of Warcraft reference and he'll go off on that for 20 minutes just because it's funny. But it seems that his function there is to kind of stir the pot rather than make arguments himself. That's just what I've noticed. I've been on a ton of times, so.